How
Sure.
is it that a dude can feel better at 49 than he did at 30?
Yeah, so I went keto, which I think at the end of the day, that is no grains. So I haven't had a piece of bread, a piece of cake, a piece of anything in 3.5 years. And then sugar, and there is sugar in everything. There is grain and wheats in everything. So I literally just started making my own food. My wife really went, she went everything natural. So we make our own spices, and the weight just started falling off, and I ended up losing 50 pounds in 3 months. The weight was amazing, but how I felt was even more powerful. Like, there was no gas, there was no farting, there was no belching, there was no acid reflux. The inflammation, like the chronic um, issues with my neck and my back were all gone. The arthritis, the inflammation completely disappeared. Like, my wedding ring would never be able to fall off. I mean, I've never been swollen, unless I mistakenly eat something at a restaurant that may have something bad in it.
And you
So,
said something about even taco seasoning. What did you discover there?
yeah, so taco seasoning, well, wheat is addictive. Wheat, the author of The Wheat Belly contends that wheat is more addictive than heroin. And I think food companies add substances that make their food addictive. So there is wheat in Oreos and taco seasoning. You look at the back of foods, in order to keep taco seasoning on a shelf for literally years, you need to make it shelf stable, right? And nobody wants it to clunk. So you need to put all this bad stuff in it to make it look like it's good. Whereas you can download a recipe on Pinterest for taco seasoning, and it's 4 ingredients. It's like salt, pepper, the brown stuff, and all of a sudden I just forgot. I apologize. My wife and I make taco seasoning. It's like 5 ingredients, and garlic, and every time people come over for tacos, they're like, "This is amazing." I'm like, "Yeah, it's 4 ingredients, and you should make some with us." So,
what did your doctors tell you about your metabolics when you told me you got down from 230 pounds to 180 in just 3 months?
yep.
What did you see objectively that shifted?
Well, this is kind of funny. I walked in and I asked the nurse if she was a professional, and she said, "Why do you ask?" I said, "Because I'm going to get naked to stand on the scale." And she said, "I can leave the room." And I said, "No, you're not going to leave the room, because I want you to see it with your own eyes." And the doctor was like, "What are you doing, some caveman diet?" And I'm like, "Well, kind of close." I started talking about glycemic index levels, and you could just tell he was confused, So he's like, "Well, this is probably one of the craziest, visits I've ever had, because somebody's actually excited to be here, so much so that they took their clothes off to get weighed." I'm like, "Well, I wanted to, I was excited, the best part of it is, he said, "Well, you're no longer pre-diabetic." And he said, "I don't know what the hell you're doing, but just keep doing it." So, like, I didn't really need his well wishes, but I felt like, despite not knowing exactly what I was doing, and just eating all natural foods and all whole foods, like real foods, I don't eat anything with a label on it. And if we talk a little bit about struggle, you get a little bit of food boredom. But I changed my outlook on food from, I don't eat for stress, I don't eat for comfort, I just eat for nutrition. And psychologically, I had to really work on that to be in a situation to where I only put food in my mouth to be nourished.
Amazing. Yeah, it's an amazing shift, and it challenges the neurochemistry of serotonin, which 70% is made in the gut. Most guys running around out there they're craving happy hour to try to get that carb serotonin link going.
Okay.
But when you can uncouple what you just described, you can uncouple the food signal for satisfying that neurochemistry piece. Now you're on a completely different trajectory. You did that partly, though, because you love the heck out of your wife. She's a runner. She was healthier than you were, and she's going to support you on that journey. Who else came along your side, or was it just the two of you sitting down saying enough's enough?
Well, just a coworker of mine, saw that I was losing. I mean, truth be told, I think when I first started losing weight, I was going down that. I think I wanted to kind of catch up to the health of my wife, and maybe if I dropped a few pounds, maybe the 22 years of marriage would re-spark, right? So that's just, I can talk about that now. I probably couldn't have talked about that, 3 years ago.
Awesome.
I did the traditional low carb diet. My wife was out of town. I think I just ate brats, and hamburgers for the weekend, and I just kept losing some weight. And a buddy of mine said, "Hey, you should look into this program called Keto," and I think it's called the Miracle Pill, and it's a documentary of a Australian doctor that I think gets kicked out of the profession, and he battles his way back in because he basically, with keto, he helped people with cancer, he helped people with chronic illness, he helped people with when people are on the spectrum,
Autism.
autism. I think there was an element of Lyme's disease there, and something else. And I'm like, listen, this is pretty powerful. And at the same time, this is going to shock you. At the same time, a client of mine, who remained nameless, but he works for a golf course, his wife's collapsed of stage 4 brain cancer, and they hired the author of the book Keto for Cancer, and they found a sugar blocking drug, I think, at the University of Wisconsin. And I'm going to make up a time. 3 months, 6 months into that journey, they can't find cancer in her, and it was stage 4 brain cancer that she collapsed from. So following his journey, following that journey, and then just how my body felt, like, I know I'm doing all the right things, and I'm probably a little over the top in watching YouTube videos on all diets, because I think there's a positive thing in most. Like, you are what your food eats. Like, if you're gonna want to go vegan, I really think you need to eat non-GMO, because foods that have all the nutrients to provide the nutrients of life, right? And I think if you're going to eat meats, to try to eat farm-raised meats that were raised healthy, not just the farmer that has these cows and give cows, corn for 90 straight days and shoot them up with penicillin to keep them alive just to get them to the butcher. Like, I don't think that's healthy food. So I think that it's processed food. Like, they're just processing an animal so you can eat it. So, here's another analogy. My dog eats summer sausage with me every day. And I took my dog in, and my dog is 7, 8 years. And they're like, "Oh my God, your dog looks amazing. Like, what do you feed it?" And I said, "Certainly not dog food." And they almost collapsed. They're like, "What do you mean?" I'm like, I feed my dog like sausage and ham. And they're like, "You feed it human food?" I'm like, "No, I think that's live food. Like, it was an animal that died. Like, my dog wouldn't run into a farmer's field and bring back a corn stalk. Like, there's no chance. It would try to kill a squirrel, So I feed my dog, probably eats a third of dog food, and then probably 2/3 of prime rib and summer sausage and breakfast sausages and all those wonderful things I eat. So I'm on the charcuterie board diet with bacon and eggs. That's pretty much how I eat, with a lot of avocado.
But Brian, what about alcohol?
Um,
This is what most guys will say.
Well,
I want to get rid of carbs, doc. And by the way, evening carbs are the most destructive.
yeah. So alcohol will disturb your ketosis or your health. I probably indulge in Tito's and seltzer, which, from a glycemic index, doesn't spike and add to the weight gain. maybe 2 times a week. I'll have some Tito's and seltzer. Now that I say this out loud, maybe I should be reducing that. And so that is my, I'm not perfect in terms of I don't cheat on anything. Like I haven't had a piece of cake, a piece of bread, piece of pasta, anything. Like I'm militant about that. But I will, I cheat with some alcohol, which I would encourage people, if you need to drink because you live in Wisconsin or you need to cope or that's how you were raised or whatever it is, go from those 6 beers a night to 2 glasses of Tito's and seltzer. And Tito's and seltzer doesn't taste like anything. So if you have a problem with that, then maybe just a little bit of something on the rocks, like a gin on the rocks or something like that. And I'm not encouraging anybody to drink. So let me just be clear, but I'm just saying if you have to, or you need to wean back, or you want to get rid of those alcohol carbs and maybe replace something with a little bit less, but still get your fix or whatever it is, that's how I would go. So.
But Brian, what about
recommending that?
but Brian, what about cholesterol? If my colleagues will say, but if you put everybody on caveman, then Adam, these are my colleagues talking now. That was
okay. I love it.
Now my colleagues in, but their LDL is going to skyrocket. What happened to your cholesterol, Brian?
So here's my understanding of the research of cholesterol. There is cholesterol eaten, like bacon, and then there is cholesterol produced. And you can correct me if I'm wrong, and I'm hoping you will, but this is my research. Cholesterol produced is when you eat grains and sugar and it damages the arteries. And cholesterol is produced to come in and fix that. So cholesterol in that situation is a positive and negative. Like it's a positive, it's almost like a firefighter. It's coming there to put out the fire. But unfortunately, there's a fire, like there's a problem. And my research has said that cholesterol eaten, and I would say that I eat 2 packages of bacon easily a week. 5% of the cholesterol eaten actually has the negative impact on me. But I don't have the damage that maybe someone who is pre-diabetic or severely overweight or is heavily addicted to sugars and grains, is that there's a liver thing where they have fatty liver, like someone who has fatty liver disease. But like I know my body isn't producing cholesterol to fix anything. So when I first lost that weight and I went in, my LDLs was incredibly low. Like I think that's the fasting one.
Fasting LDL,
like it was so low that like we're not even sure you're human. And then the other one is there one cholesterol that should be higher or everything should be low?
No, traditionally the HDL is the good cholesterol, semi-protective. The LDL is the bad.
Okay.
So you want LDL lowish, not too low, because then testosterone will drop off. I see that a lot in guys.
Okay.
They walk in on statins with energy problems, and I check they tell me, don't even check my cholesterol, doc. Don't worry about it. It's my doc said it's the lowest he's ever seen. And I'm like, well, then we're going to check your testosterone, and 100% of them have low T. So LDL should be lowish,
okay,
but HDL is semi-protective.
Yeah. So my initial bad cholesterol was high, and the people I watch on YouTube that are pro keto diet basically said when you're losing all the weight and you're burning through your fat, you might have stored stuff in from a cholesterol standpoint. They said that first year, don't worry about it. I have not had my follow-up test with those numbers. If you think I should be coming to your office to do those and take a look at my numbers, I'd be happy to set up an appointment with that. That'd be awesome.
I'm going to give you a lab requisition
Okay.
for something called the Cleveland Heart Panel.
Okay.
And it'll look at your fractionated lipid panel, but it'll also look at 7 blood vessel markers to look at the functionality. In fact, it's brilliant how you set that up, because there's 7 biomarkers to tell you, is that cholesterol level, say 100, is that actually affecting your blood vessels? Because if it isn't, you probably need it for a reason.
Right.
Meaning you probably need it
Right.
for testosterone or for neurons or for repair.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm just a lay person. I've watched all these videos 1,000 times. I can't regurgitate all the technical terms, even though everybody in my family is a doctor except me. But whatever. So, yeah. And the other thing that I was told was that basic test doesn't give you the full picture, which I think is what you just said. So,
Well, I can't wait to give that to you because I think it's going to be very positive and it'll give you more ammunition. But Brian, what about the bedroom? Will losing that weight help improve erection quality and libido?
I'm 49. I haven't had that problem. Yeah, I can get my wife. She can testify for that. So,
That's such a dude statement right there.
we're,
Okay.
we're 22 years and we're 22 years married. I'm on my first wife, so it's going to rise to the occasion when it needs to. So,
but Brian, what about the marriage thing? You said that you were trying to re-spark your marriage a little bit, which most guys should really be thinking about after 20 years. I'm going to make an assumption here. You may have respected yourself more, which allowed you to reassert some of that masculine and improve the energy and vitality of your marriage. Is that safe to say?
Yeah, I think so. So I initially started losing the weight for the wrong reason. And I eventually told my wife that, and she said, you do everything for you, right? I mean, this is, you should never do something for other people, for yourself. You know what I mean? Like that's the wrong way to do it. But I needed initially that. I think everyone tries to lose the weight, or they go on that the Atkins diet, right after Christmas, and they don't eat, cookies, and they can lose some weight, but then they go right back to it and they put it right back on, right? So
Yep.
I needed something to fight for harder, which at the end of the day helped me start the avalanche. But once I felt the way I did, and the renewed energy and the health and all the negative issues that I had, bloating and gas and constipation and acid reflux and arthritis and all that stuff. Once that's gone, like that's what's addictive now. Like I don't cheat. Like my wife's like, yeah, I made a cake. You should try it. It's your birthday. I'm like, nope, not going to do it. Like, it's kind of like, I just tell her, I'm like, you wouldn't tell an alcoholic, we just got done talking about alcohol, but you wouldn't tell an alcoholic, just try my drink that I made. Like,
Wow.
don't do that to me. You know what I mean? Because that's how addictive it is. And there's a great level of respect there now that, and my friends know, my friends, a third of my friends have gone down the path. I would say 10% of them are probably full-fledged or pretty close to full-fledged keto with me.
Because of you?
And all I do every once in a while, like on my 6-year anniversary and my 1-year anniversary, like every 6 months, I started this journey 3.5 years ago. This is what I lost 50 pounds. Who cares about the weight? This is the other things. Boom, 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 boom. And I watched these 2 videos that changed my life. Anybody wants to talk, let me know. And I'll run into people like, they're like, holy cow, you lost a lot of weight. And like, oh yeah, I have to thank you. I'm like, I didn't even know we were like, what happened? Why are you thanking me? Like, I didn't even, it's like, I saw your Facebook post. I'm like, huh. So it's, my family, like my mom who has Crohn's disease, which is autoimmune, like keto will take care of all autoimmune, diabetes 1 or diabetes 2. So speaking of diabetes 1, I have a friend, diabetes 1 is not curable, correct?
Well, traditionally, yeah.
Yeah, okay. So my friend was incredibly overweight. He started going down the keto. I told him not to. I said, I think it's very dangerous, that's what I read, and he went in and talked to his doctor and he said, well, that's what they used to do before they gave insulin. And insulin, you're actually injecting to the point where it finally accepts it. And if you take a look at people who start taking insulin for for diabetes, they will continue to gain weight. Like, I don't think anybody loses weight once they start taking insulin. Like,
Great point. Yep.
you need to change it through diet, not through medications, and or at least in that case, it's perplexing when I talk to people. Like, people don't want to get healthy, they just want to get repaired.
But Brian, what about work? How are you're a social guy? You got, like, how do you conduct work if you're not going along with the standard American diet? Isn't it hard to?
No, I mean, I have restaurant. I mean, when I go to a restaurant, I can get Cobb salad, I can go Caesar salad. Like, pretty much every restaurant on the planet has a Caesar salad. I can get through that. The only restaurants I really can't eat at are Asian restaurants because of the MSG and the bad salts that are in food. Oh, I'm going to talk to you about salt in a second here. And I don't do rice, right? So if I eat that clear soup, like I had something when I started feeling a little under the weather and I blew up, and I'm like, there's probably some bad MS cheese in there, but it tasted so good. I'm sorry I did it, but I did it, body, So I'll eat chicken, and it's pretty much a filet mignon double veggie guy. And real food costs more money, and I don't have a problem. I don't have a problem paying for food. So I go out for breakfast most mornings. I get a 4-egg omelet, bacon, sausage, cheddar, onion, side of bacon. And the waitresses are usually 2 times or 3 times heavier than me and just shake their head, and I don't know what to say. I just don't do toast. I don't do pancakes. And
I'll tell you what you can say. You can say that we're going to get an invitation to the next taco seasoning party. All you got to do is set up the Zoom link, man. We can connect with you virtually. I'll invite the entire Arise MD community to get virtual with you.
So, all right. So I'm gonna leave you with 2 things. You can ask me any questions. So
Okay.
the one thing I eat with the label is hot sauce. If you look at your ketchup, the second ingredient after tomatoes is high fructose corn syrup. And then these food companies have the audacity to tell you that they're using real sugar instead of high fructose corn syrup, which, I mean, that's like saying, hey, you know what? We're not going to give you cocaine. We're going to give you heroin instead. It doesn't even make any sense. Like, food,
Well said.
yeah, food. The food industry, I think, is everything they do is criminal. And I'm a pro-business guy. Like, I don't like saying that, but the food marketing business is corrupt. Like, natural flavors. Like, they can say natural flavors. I think there are some things addictive in these seltzers. They say no sugar, but how does it taste like something if there's no flavor in it?
Good question.
And so I got to be careful. Be careful with the seltzers. Do those in moderation. But so salt, pink Himalayan salt. Like, when you get the keto flu, that is because most people don't salt their food. So when you start preparing a lot of your own food, steak, eggs, people are trained not to salt their food. There is a product called Real Salt out of Utah. And when you look at like their webpage, it's got so many minerals in it. Like, I got excited reading it, like, this is awesome. So I replaced all my Morton salt. So Morton salt, I won't use Morton. Any table salt is bleached, and then they add a non-caking agent in there, which is a carcinogen. Carcinogen, is that the word?
Carcinogen, yeah.
Carcinogen, yeah. At least it's rumored to be. So it doesn't cake. So there's no nutrients after they bleach it. So you're not even getting anything healthy. And your body needs magnesium, potassium, and salt and sodium. Those are the 3 things that I add to my diet every single day. And I try to do 4 tablespoons of salt a day. And if I need to get salt in, I'm kind of a proponent not to over drink water. Like, don't try to drink 4 times your weight, divided by a 5-gallon pail and then add more. Like, I don't do that. I drink when I'm thirsty. And then if I feel like I need to drink more water, I put a little bit of salt in it. I don't know. I'm a salt guy. And there's a book Dr. Berg wrote, Lies My Doctor Told Me. It's pretty interesting, and it's about salt, and we talked about cholesterol and a bunch of different things that I think are just like these convenient truths. Like you should drink your body weight in ounces in water. Who says that? Everybody. Who's everybody? Like show me a research. Like it's just one of those things where everybody regurgitates, but like there really isn't a study out there, to the best of my knowledge. So I could be wrong. Don't shoot the messenger if I am wrong. But
No,
I,
you're
I like adding sodium. I like adding potassium, and avocados is a fruit. So if you want potassium, eat a lot of avocados. So the wheat belly and the miracle pill, yeah, it starts off a little bit PBS-y, like a little
Yep.
too much like a, and I'm like, oh, I don't know if I'm gonna like this. And I probably watched it 3 times now. I may watch it again because it is so powerful. It's very powerful.
Well, Brian, my friend, this has been powerful. And you are an official, recognized, certified Arise MD citizen scientist. So fist pump. And is a special treat for putting this public service message out there for a lot of my guys, many of whom live to golf, by the way, and they should probably be connected with you and follow you. And I should tell you that I went as far as going around to different country clubs in the region that they belong to, asking the bartenders what their pours are like on the course, and found out that a couple of the country clubs where I have maybe a dozen guys in my practice, they're doing double pours of the amount of alcohol that are in the cocktail. So anyway, so appreciate this contribution.
Oh,
And I
wow.
know that there's going to be guys out there this could be the turning point moment for them, where they go, you know what, I'm done making excuses. If this dude can do it, I can do it. And so thank you so much for that. And we'll look for the invitation to join your taco seasoning party, the next one you're throwing. All right.
All right, don't be shocked if we do it.
And check your mail, because as a gift to you, I'm going to send you some salt from the Borneo Highlands.
Oh, wow.
10,000 miles from here in the highlands area of Borneo, it gets cool enough where they can grow apples. They can also grow coffee up there in the tropics. And they get salt out of the earth. When I was living there, we sent it to London and had it analyzed, and the mineral content is off the charts. But every couple of months I get a shipment in, and I just got a shipment.
Wow.
It's hilarious because it comes in a 1 kilo package that looks like it could be something illegal. Okay. But it's actually, I got 4 kilos of the good stuff, salt from the Borneo Highlands, from the earth. And I'm sending some to you for a Christmas present for doing this interview.
Wow.
So thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. Wow, that's really generous.
Hey, if people wanted to email you, and
Sure.
you got some guy who's on the fence that goes, hey man, I saw your interview with Dr. Miller. Can you just tell me, like, how did you deal with this? Would you be open to it?
Yeah, absolutely. It wasn't easy. And I think, like, I remember a month in, I joined a lot of keto groups on Facebook. Like, I tried to learn as much as I possibly could. Like, I still watch videos every single day. Like, I could be wrong. Like, it's okay if I'm wrong. I want to keep getting better at what I want to do. And nutrition is important to me. And somebody's like, I read on a post, they said, if you start this way and you go back to eating potato chips, you're going to gain all the weight. Why even do it? And somebody posted, like, no, this is a lifestyle. And I actually just really love the foods I eat. Like, it's like I said, it's like the charcuterie board diet with eggs and Euro meat. It's just it's amazing. So
You
like,
can recalibrate your palate
yeah. Oh, and I
to the
love
point
spicy.
where if you were to put something even semi-sweet in your mouth, it tastes horribly sweet.
Yeah, I can't do the fake sugars either. I'm just going to say this. So many people look for a diet and then try to figure out what the worst thing they can do on it so they can bring over all these bad habits. And
Yep.
it's just so dumb. Like, why? Like, And I don't even like answering the alcohol question. Can I drink? I guess you can. You probably shouldn't, right? And can you still eat popcorn? I heard Brian say popcorn. Yeah, okay, maybe like once a month, and that's not my, and it's just like, well, well, I have to have pretzels. No, there's no pretzels. There's just no pretzels.
You've entered the no pretzel zone, people.
Yeah.
Don't even talk to Brian unless you have.
So there was a couple eye-opening moments there, like, because there is some food boredom, and there was the keto flu and the dry mouth and the weirdness, and then I realized I needed to increase my electrolytes, which is a nice way of saying salt and potassium and magnesium. So my email address, absolutely, like, you can find me on Facebook, Brian Weiss, at Brian WEIS, and my email is my first and last name, Brian BRIAN WEIS at outlook.com. So Brian Weiss at outlook.com. I'm passionate. Like, I can't remember all the terms, and I can send you videos of people I watch. Like, I may not be scientifically correct in every term that I use or explain it the way doctors who know what they're doing do.
But Brian, that's exactly why I'm interviewing you, because clearly doctor talk hasn't worked.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Brian. You are a citizen scientist.